Jesper Kyd put out a tweet the other day that said that there was more Darktide music to be had. Warhammer 40k, Darktide Volume 2, 6 songs, 20 minutes. First, we're going to start off with Light of the Imperium. That's kind of funny, isn't it? It's kind of it's like an alarm, but there's a real like isn't there a carnival? The carnival, yes, I just played Darktide yesterday. The carnival is a new area of the map, and so is Light of the Imperium relating to the carnival? There's something about that, and then in the background you get the it's a little uncomfy. Let's keep listening. I bet you it's gonna go somewhere. Yeah. Bro, so that's actually a duality. That's a combat. That's like an antagonistic relationship. And then you get... Oh, that's interesting, because that's the sound of the Imperium. But the song is titled Light of the Imperium. Interesting. Oh. We're building. And this is really, oh, this is so cool. I love this because we're getting that hint. It's kind of like when you listen to music like this, there's a shadow element that we get from the duality there, right? So we got the main thing that we're hearing is right? But then you get these little hints, these shadow elements of right? Like that's that Darktide anthem, if you will, the Imperial Advance, and Mortal Imperium, I should say. And so this, okay. Tension's building up here. More of the same. We're growing in volume though. Dude, this is so cool. So this is like EDM. So this is so interesting because it takes the L, ha, he, ho, he, ha, ho, ha. And then, so that's so, I want to rewind, but that's so interesting because it takes like basic, it's basically like EDM dark trance, isn't it? That's so, I mean, not that we need to categorize things, but that's so interesting. Hold on, let me rewind. Yeah, so they're clearly saying words. Now I can't tell you what they're saying, but ha ha easy da ha ha ba da ba da ba da ba da ba da ba da. It's such it's so cool. As an opera singer, like, you know, you just don't hear that in the classical music scene ever, and it's so great. That's why I love this soundtrack. That beat comes back. Yeah, you know, another thought that I had while listening to this is how amazing the staccato is in here. The staccato causes the tension, it causes the enthusiasm, it causes the sense of like bubbling to the surface. There's something about staccato singing, plus with the jagged rhythm in the accompaniment, that really adds this feeling of tension. It's like that tightrope thing. It's cool. Big drop. I feel it. Immortal Imperium, but remixed. Na, 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 ya, da, ya, da, da. Oh wow! Let's rewind. Yeah, the Sopranos give it away. You know, in a way, it kind of almost sounds like it's rewound. So it sounds like the Imperial Advance. Is that what it is? Imperial. There's the track in Darktide. Da, 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 Imperial Advance, or I forget. Anyway, the point being that like it almost sounds rewound, and you know, I think it causes an interesting juxtaposition in thematic elements. Like the first one is so grandiose. Right, so like that is like a symbol of like inviting a god or invocation of a god, or like just the might of the empire, right? But in light of the Imperium, it's weird. It's almost like the Imperium has lost its way, lost its grasp. There's a threat that's bigger. I'm pretty sure there is a threat that's bigger with the new update that just came out. But so there's like an intensity in that volume and in that shift. And now it's more like, I don't know. And I think like there's a little bit of a topsy-turvy quality too that I think really adds to the overall experience because of the way that the staccato's written in there, and essentially the fact that our ears already know the motif of the Imperium, at least in Darktide. So when we, you know, it's fun. It's fun. Yeah, it sounds like it sounds like a scratch. It sounds like a record player. It sounds like they're scratching a little bit, which is super inventive. And that's the thing about this soundtrack in particular, and Jesper Kyd generally, is just the sheer amount of inventiveness here. It really feels like Fat Shark was like, you know what, just go do whatever. We trust you. And Jesper was like, okay. He just like created this thing. It's so satisfying. That's such an interesting little corner too, isn't it? So there's a little bit of like, I don't want to call it sensuality, but the way that it kind of decays in the way the note structure is, yada, yada, yada. Like there's something about the dissonance here where we have this repetitive boom, 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 but then on top of that, we also get this, which is just a little bit like, ooh, there's a little bit of a lure to it, which is really interesting. Right there. Yeah, to me, so to me, if the other one is brum, bum, bum, ba, brum, bum, bum, ba, right? This one is much more antagonistic, but not an antagonism. Like this is an antagonism against the Imperium, right? So this motion is like a conflict, a going to war, a having to face combat, a facing a challenge from the inside. There's a little bit of a twisting in here. This is really, really cool. Man. I love that. Dude, that is fucking dope. That's amazing. It's amazing because of the way that we take something that we already know and modify it to signify something different. A. And B, the use of vocals here is so unique. And the whole thing is, I mean, Darktide is such a unique soundtrack. And honestly, it's appalling that this wasn't you know, awarded a nomination for the Grammys, because this is such a unique soundtrack. It's so good. God, that's crazy. I'm so perplexed by it because it's so special, and I love the chanting at the end to infuse a feeling of danger and stress, like little tiny things like that most people won't even notice, but that little bit of stress in there with that. It's amazing. Moebian Sixth. You know, this sounds like the music that you hear in the ship as you're heading off into the battle. It's very, very, very atmospheric, very ambient. Clearly, there's like an element of I think what's really great about this particular first couple seconds here is you feel the metallic quality of the Inquisition, of the soldiers. You know, you see the guy with an eye or like with the arm, like, you know, with metallic arm. You know, there's that real feeling of like technology mixed with like a pushing away from organic and orgasmic organisms. It's very mechanical, which is super cool. We're getting a beat already. Wow. That's so like genius. Look at the way that there's subtle beat shifts here. No beat yet. Right there. It comes out of nowhere. The beat comes out of nowhere. Listen, we're 11 seconds in. Literally pivots out of nowhere. It's underneath, actually. Boom, ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. And we're off, and it's only going to keep building from here. It shifted. The rhythm shifted. See, that's a dope rhythm pattern too. That's like it pumps you up, you know what I mean? It's so cool. That we have 3 different rhythmic identities in the first literal 47 seconds of this track. So cool. Dude, that is so freaking neat. So, da da ya da 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 dum ba-dum tiara ba-dum tiara. That's that long short. That's like that's so masculine. And there's a virility that comes from a large male choir with just no vibrato, like just pure like dominant sound, big open throated vowel. That's amazing. Hold on. Disjointed. Really crunchy. Super dissonant. Yeah, and I think the trick here is ya da to. It's all open vowels, and open vowels are so effective at creating a feeling of warmth and of space, especially when we think of standard a, e, I, o, u vowel structure. And like father, is a pretty warm vowel. It's not a, it's not like a it's father. Nice and open, or even the open o. There's two different kinds of o's. There's a o and there's an o. And here we go. It's so warm, and it creates the sound column that allows for this feeling of warmth to exist, because it really feels like the singers in this large ensemble are all singing from their upper chests, and so, you know, from the open-throated feeling. So that's and then the sopranos and altos are they're you know, there's that's really effective too. That's such a little touch, and it's so visceral. And I think that would probably stand and go for the entire soundtrack, is the visceralness of this. You know, it's like, look, the way that we've got the beat, and there's a dissonance in the upper register of that beat, that piano thing, and then you've got that's so effective. Dissonance. You know, something I thought of is the fact that whenever we hit this, it feels like we're hitting a mallet, like an anvil almost, which actually makes sense for the imagery of the Imperium, and Darktide itself has this real like grimy industrial quality to it. So the idea of like hitting an anvil or hitting a lead pipe or something really lines up, I think. Sound like church bells. The dissonance of church bells back there. Then we kind of fade away. A little bit of that alarm feeling. Oh, that's dope. Yeah, cool as shit. Let's check out the Fringe. There's your technology sound. Isn't it interesting how that little, like, those licks feel like being stalked or like being hunted? It's just like, what the hell's behind me, you know? There's that hidden beat again. There's the beat. Oh, organ. Now there's a This is a disposal unit. Oh my God, that's so cool. The callbacks to that are so neat. But this is like this is disposal unit Imperium mix. But this is like the really scary version where shit's going really bad. Being hunted down. Super powerful rhythm. That organ. Man, this part 2 is crazy because every one of these tracks has their own specific purpose, which is not uncommon, right? Obviously, but they're also like really, really heavy and grungy. I don't know that I could listen to a full hour of this. That is so intense. That felt like not cat and mouse, but more like giant beast versus, you know, prey. It's very visceral. Like I've said that about every single track, but it's true though. There's a quality here of real intensity. And then on top of that, there's all this section. It's all about terror in a way. Let's check out the Gauntlet. It's probably gonna be epic. Yeah, every single one of these tracks starts with like this like sort of amorphous thing, and then it launches into a beat pattern that beat pattern then shifts into another beat pattern, which is really, really cool. But every single one of these tracks sounds like some kind of remix of a previous song from the original soundtrack, which is not a problem, I don't think, because they're so uniquely diverse. And the way that the layering is structured here is that each of these tracks sounds so viscerally different, even though they have the same dark trance techno elements to them, which is, I mean, it was really, really, I've said this about every track, but they're all incredibly visceral. There's this real like shredding of skin almost, or shedding of skin, or like violence sonorally that is really, really appropriate for the landscape and design, audio and art style wise of Darktide, which is really effective. This beat pattern is about to change. Yeah. I love that. Like da 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 da. That can mean so many different things contextually, and to me that screams out like, no, I'm not going to be stopped. Da, 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 da. I have to go and do this. This is a last minute thing. I have to fix this. Da, 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 da. It's like so intense. Yeah. And then that organ, that's super like, oh, come on, we can do this. This is a last minute effort. That's super intense. That's so fun. That's so cool. So that's really intense there for about a minute. That's like really, really brutal. And the crunching quality in there almost made me think that someone was speaking and then they just like added a modifier to the voice underneath. But the crunch that you feel in there is super, super, super intense. And the way that it's created is it gives a sense of extreme violence, which is obvious, but now we have a shift and we pull back and we release this. And so now it's really about like this sensation of like taking a second to rest because it's like so overwhelming, right? But there's still like a swelling in here. And thematically, we want to take a look at all of this stuff. And I actually feel like the Gauntlet is the first of these tracks that feels like it's us at the same like level of competence as the people that we're fighting against. Like the Gauntlet feels like the first time where it's 1v1 me, bro, and like we're going at it together. So there's an inherent bit of like push and pull, which that causes a feeling of a duality and of a battle between two opposing equal forces, which is really, really fun. It's the first track that I felt could be about us as players. That's also such a nice musical gesture. I don't know if you caught it. Super satisfying. That again, there's an inherent quality of galvanization there, which is really exciting. Because we're just repeating notes and going back to certain phrases and stuff. It's fun. Oh, nice dissonance. Whole steps down. Dope. Dope. Let's check out Empires Will Fall. You don't hear that. You don't hear you don't hear the organ ever do something like this. Oh, that's so cool. And I think there's something about the organ that represents so many different things, usually none of them positive. There's two very clear distinctions for what the organ represents. Either it represents God or it represents the devil. There's like no in between. No one's like, let me just listen to some casual organ music. It just doesn't happen. Right now in this modern time period, you either get, you know, things in like the Catholic Church where you're playing the organ, or you're getting things that are synonymous with evil and villains and villainy and fate and rage and violence. The organ is such a sublime instrument because it's so big, it's so unique to its position, it cannot really be moved. It exists in one place only, and wherever that place is, that's where the organ exists. And so there's an inherent feeling of like this immovable, gigantic piece of instrumentation that essentially is like a god in and of itself, because it's massive, cannot be moved, cannot be tamed. Literally, you need to play it with your hands and with your feet. And that's so unnatural, even though it uses wind and like mechanics to move it and stuff. It's such a powerful instrument. And this is like the most unique way I've ever heard it used. You know, this really sounds like the soundtrack of hell. Like, it sounds like the soundtrack you would hear like at a rave in like hell. and it's like just demons everywhere. It's red, it's black, it's grimy, it's hot. And there's just the dude up there like, you know, freaking also the huge choir presence in here is none too it's so appreciated, because the choir here is so full and so loud and so present. It just it like there's something so holistically magical about having a choir present that reverberates in your soul. Hearing an ensemble of individuals come together to make one sound is truly just something that's so profound, and I think that it's a prime example. Moebian Domain is the last of these tracks. Let's check it out. Put that front and center, yeah. Yeah, and Moebian Domain was basically just more of Empire Will Fall, but a different orchestration. So the organ and the chorus was more thrust in front, and the rhythm of the underneath synthetic was pulled back slightly. So you had more of the organ in front, more of the choir in front. Man, what a dope second volume of tracks. Really lighted the Imperium as the star of the show for me, and I really enjoyed Moebian Sixth and the Gauntlet especially. I think those three, it's probably split 50-50 of songs that I would listen to out of context or don't need context to enjoy it. I think Empires Will Fall, Moebian Domain, and the Fringe are much probably better in-game, which means I have to go back and play this because I really love hearing this music in context. Actually, Darktide is doing really well, and I'm excited to see the future of it, and man, these tracks just go really hard. So that was awesome to listen through. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope maybe you gleaned a little bit of new stuff. Feel free to like, subscribe. There's links in the About section if you want to support the channel. As always, thanks a ton. This is a hub of video game music. I love talking about and appreciating video game music from an emotional perspective. Thanks a ton, and I'll see you later. Bye.